permission to do a shameless plug of my new company. And that I am looking for translators, which this is a great place to recruit, and also marketing people. I'm not going to go into too much. If you want to know more, see me during the break. But let me begin my speech. In the late 80s, I was a member of the United States Air Force Security Police. Wow. And we were involved in my country was involved in a sea battle with the country of Iran. During one of those skirmishes, we accidentally shot down an Iranian commercial airline. And the airliner was full of Shiite Muslims. Now, my mentioning that they were Muslims will be significant a little bit later on in the story. Now, Muslims have a kind of an unwritten law that they don't commit any acts of revenge or justice for 100 days. They have a 100-day mourning period. On the 101st day, I was flying into the country of Bahrain on a C-5 Galaxy aircraft, at that time one of the largest aircraft in the world. This thing is so big that even flying at 643 kilometers an hour, it looked like it was just floating in the sky. And we were flying over the Straits of Hormuz. Now, to give you an idea of where Bahrain was, Bahrain is here, here's the Gulf, and here was Iran. We were flying right down the middle, and they could see us for hundreds of kilometers away, so they knew we were coming. An ideal target. So we had landed, and we were unloading our aircraft, and the attaché from the U.S. mission came by, demanding to see the aircraft commander right away. He said that they had intelligence that there were Iranian gunboats on their way to blow our plane to pieces. Now, to make matters worse, is that we didn't have a status of forces agreement with Bahrain, which would allow the U.S. to have armed personnel on that aircraft in a security position. I was a security police officer and I was armed. I wasn't supposed to be there. If we had a firefight, then if I pulled my weapon out and shot it, I would have to be turned over to the Bahraini police and be prosecuted. If I didn't take my weapon out, then I would be court-martialed by the Air Force for not protecting the aircraft and the crew. Now, the attaché also informed us that the Bahraini security force, which had stationed men 100 feet apart, all the way surrounding the whole airfield, were not Bahrainian. They were Pakistani mercenaries. And they were Shiite Muslims. It was kind of like the fox guarding the hen house. So not only did I have the threat of Iranian gunboats coming at us that night and wanting to blow us to pieces, but the very people who were supposed to be protecting us might shoot me. And there was only me. I was it. I was standing there, this big plane behind me. Now, one of the Pakistanis decided that he wanted to take a walk around the aircraft. And instead of confronting him and provoking any violence, I decided that I was just going to follow him. Now, I did forget one thing before I go further, and that because I was not supposed to be there as a security policeman, I had to go undercover and actually dress like one of the air crew. So instead of wearing my beret and our regular combat fatigues, I had to wear a flight suit, which doesn't breathe. And it doesn't breathe so as to protect us from flash fires on the aircraft. And I wasn't supposed to be armed, so I carried my .38 inside the flight suit. It was 117 degrees out in the shade. That's 47 degrees centigrade. Very hot. The flight suits don't breathe. I was sweating profusely with a leather holster under my armpit, soaking wet, along with the gun. Earlier I had actually checked it to see if I could pull the gun out of the holster, and it went... It was stuck in there, very wet. So now I wouldn't even be able to pull my gun out fast if I needed to. So the Pakistani, he's walking around the aircraft, and I decided I was going to follow right behind, about arm's length away. I didn't want to provoke him, didn't want to make him angry. Suddenly, he turned around, he stuck his gun into my stomach. It was a semi-automatic pistol. It surprised me, and I heard the safety click off, and as I looked down, I saw his finger squeezing the trigger. They say when you know you're about to die, you see your whole life flash before your eyes. That day, I saw my life flash before my eyes. But as I put my hands up, I looked up, and he had on his beret the Pakistani Royal Crest. Now, our unit had wanted one of those because we collect security patches from all over the world, from different security forces. And so I pointed to the patch, and then I pointed to mine, and ours was really cool. It was a shield, and it had an eagle spread like this, and it had one claw was holding thunderbolts, and the other one was holding arrows, and it had stars across the top. It was cool. And so I started to pull it off, and it was Velcro, and you swear to God the guy had never seen Velcro before. Because it shocked him, and he jumped back when I did that. And then I handed it to him, and he's looking at it, huh? And I pointed to his patch on his head, and I went like this, back and forth. And so he took it, and he went back to all the other guys who were standing around the airfield. And they all started waving at me, as if I was their friend. It was at that moment that I realized that my story I had begun as what I thought was a destiny with death. And it ended up with a revelation that small acts of friendship can have a greater, a ripple effect on your destiny. Thank you.
Ông Tô is about